I'm Sam Julien, for those of you who don't know me, and I work for Auth0. I'll make sure to emphasize that after yesterday. Hope that guy's proud of me. Uh, and I do Angular and web technologies. And I've been speaking at conferences for just about a year now, so I'm still fairly new to the game. So I've been trying really hard to level up my speaking career. So I was really excited to get accepted to NGConf 2019 this year. It's the world's largest Angular conference. I was given 5 minutes to speak on this stage to 1,500 people. So much like Hamilton, I wasn't about to throw away my shot. So I realized that I had sort of stumbled into the perfect speaking experiment because I had this really long prep time for a really short talk that had very high stakes. I didn't have much time to waste, and I didn't want to make a fool of myself in front of 1,500 people. So I could practice these skills in sort of a laboratory environment and then pick and choose them later for talks where the circumstances are less than ideal, which is like most of the time, right? So all in all, I probably spent about 50 hours on this talk, which is like ridiculous. But I pulled out all the stops. The conference provided speaker coaching, so I took advantage of that. I normally just outline my talk, but I wrote it out word for word. Every word had to earn its way onto the page. And instead of procrastinating by bike shedding over slides like over and over again, I just used basic slides until the last moment when I already had the talk already memorized. And finally, and most painfully, I recorded myself practicing day in and day out for this talk so that I could nitpick everything from my vocal intonation to the way I looked on stage, the direction I was looking. So I learned a lot from this, and I was really surprised, though, because I thought I would probably just pick up some slide techniques in Keynote, maybe get some additional practice, but there was actually more of a meta-level psychological and emotional shift that occurred when doing 50 hours of focused practice on my speaking. So I wanted to share that. As I watched myself dozens and dozens of painful times, I noticed a few things. Like most people, I used a lot of filler words. I said and I repeated myself to avoid the painful silence that we all fear on stage. I also did a couple of weird things, though. I would like sway back and forth like I was doing lazy jazzercise, which was awesome. Yeah. And then I would do this thing with my hands. I would hold my hands up like this, like I was like greeting you at a day spa. Like, thank you for coming. So I had to like purposely work on those things. And I didn't want to just do this for the sake of my own vanity. I knew that in 5 minutes at NGConf, I really didn't have any time to waste. So I really purposely wanted to work on them. How many of you were here last year and remember this guy? Yeah, he was a speaker coach guy, gave a fantastic talk, and he said something that really stuck with me, which was, when you feel like shrinking, expand. And so I thought about that, because when I'm on stage, I'm a shy introvert, believe it or not, and I hate being in the spotlight. I really hate it. I don't like attention. And so when I'm on stage in the spotlight, I have this like instinctive urge to run away and hide. I don't know if it's like childhood insecurity or something like that. I don't know. But I realized that as I was watching all these videos and noticing all these things, the filler words, the swaying back and forth, the weird hands, they were all kind of just methods of hiding, methods of shrinking instead of expanding. And so as I practiced the opposite, as I was practicing things like being okay with silence and standing still and leaving my hands at my side, I was actually practicing that feeling of being in the spotlight and being really uncomfortable. I was actually practicing like expanding instead of shrinking. And that's great, right? Because when we're like cowering behind the podium, prattling on about our favorite esoteric technology, the audience tends to check out. You know, we tend to just like scroll through Twitter, like we don't care, it doesn't matter. But when we're like present on stage and we have energy, then the audience tends to be more engaged. And when they're engaged, hopefully they're listening to us And if we're lucky, maybe they'll also be inspired to do something else. So for my fellow shy introverts, I want to encourage you to pick one thing to work on for your next talk. Maybe you need to get out from behind the podium. Maybe you need to practice standing still so you don't do lazy jazzercise like me. Maybe you need to get comfortable with silence. So awkward. Practice pausing. But whatever you do, don't be afraid to expand. Don't be afraid to take up space. And please let me know how it goes. I'd really like to know if your experience is similar to mine. So, thank you.